My name is Tristan Hartfield and I own Buckstop Truckware, a manufacturing company in Prineville, Oregon. We were headquartered in the Valley in Newburgh, and we needed to expand. And my brother and I that own the company together have wanted to move back over to the east side of the mountains for a long time. So when the opportunity arose to expand, we had a choice to either expand in the Valley or look elsewhere. So we started looking around Central Oregon and then found Prineville and then found this building, and it was just perfect for us. It suited our needs perfectly. The thing that drew me to manufacturing the most is I'm a mechanical engineer, and I worked in the mining industry and rock crushing industries before this. So metal was something that we worked with all the time and designed in. And so it was kind of a natural progression once we started a manufacturing company that would be fabrication and metal. That's what we were used to. Right now we have 28 employees. We're actively hiring right now. We have everything from human resources to fabrication to general labor, machining, sales. Our customers are worldwide. We ship into Canada, we ship to Australia. We've shipped pretty much all around the world. The vast majority are in the continental United States, and probably the most are in Oregon, actually, as far as the count. We already have distribution channels set up, so it makes sense for us to make more parts that can go down those distribution channels. But we find new markets all the time. Overland camping and things is one market that's been kind of going for the last 5-10 years, something like that. And with COVID and all that, everybody's getting out, everybody's camping, so that's really exploded. There's bigger money in overland as far as shows and things like that, so it's a market that's definitely progressing. You can see the interest out of the bigger corporations in the United States like Ford and Jeep, that they're starting to cater to this, Toyota. So it's definitely something that's on everybody's radar, and it's definitely a growth, albeit a niche industry, it's a growth industry. 18-24 months have been great. It was a little stagnant out of the recession and that, but we're back on a growth pattern now. Back then we used to say that flat was the new up because everybody was having a tough time, but we're definitely growing. COVID's positively affected our sales. We've grown immensely. I think my favorite part to owning my own company is the freedom that I get to enjoy. You get to go and go in whatever direction you want to. It's fun to put a team together to help create this and share the responsibility and share the fun parts. I'm not good at having people tell me what to do, honestly. I'm not interested in that. I think the most exciting thing is just realizing the potential, and it's as vast as your imagination can be. You know, we're getting more and more equipment. We're capable of more and more things every day, and that's the spots that we're starting to grow into. Different interests. But it's just the potential's massive. It's as much energy as you can throw at it, it will consume. I think the biggest hurdle is the government. The bigger you get, the more things you have to satisfy, the more OSHA requirements you have to satisfy, the more reporting you have to do, the higher the taxes are, all that kind of stuff. And that just wears on you, because if you don't have a lawyer in-house, which we don't, you have to just kind of suffer through and figure it out, and it's difficult. The tax that they passed here in the last 12 months on the Oregon business tax, I don't know if they still haven't figured out what we owe. And it's just ridiculous. They're passing laws that they don't know what the ramifications are. So it's difficult to keep up with it. And whether you like it or you don't, you certainly don't want to, you want to comply, but it's very difficult to comply because it's a moving target constantly. The additional spots we're working on right now are in suspension systems. So we're in development on 3 different major suspension components in the mainly in the fire truck area, some in the civilian vehicles, but that's a new spot for us. We haven't done suspensions historically, and over the last 12 to 18 months we've started to make more and more and more of those components. So it only makes sense if you're already making it for one project to put those out to a greater amount of customers. So we're in development on those as we speak. The suspension system would be suspension components, control arms, springs, shock absorbers, wheels. We're developing a wheel right now that's a 7,000 pound rated wheel built out of California. And then we do finished machining on it here. But it's will be DOT compliant and it will work with our conversion systems. We are first and foremost a custom manufacturer of winch bumpers for vehicles. And by custom, it's not that we'll build anything for anybody, but there are options that go in each unit. It's kind of like ordering a vehicle or going to the car lot where you could get it, with this platinum package, or you could get it with air conditioning only, or things like that. So in any one platform, we have many, many different options that fit that vehicle. So we are very much a custom manufacturer, and the orders go through one at a time, and are literally built for the end customer from the beginning. We do have some generic inventory, what we call Model T inventory, where it's just one style and it's black, and that's what we have for warehouse. But there are so many custom options that it's very, very difficult to inventory for this piece. So, but we build these products one at a time as they go through, and that's custom colors, custom options, different lighting, different grill guards, different brands of bumpers, different styles, all sorts of crazy things. And then every now and again you'll get someone to call up and they want something really ridiculous, and we'll do that from time to time as well. Yeah, trailer's different. Trailer's something I can run. We've probably built 250 of those trailers. Yeah, so that's something that is actually less option. The options are colors on that, which is pretty easy to do, but the metal work is pretty much the same on every one. Our suppliers are just steel, they're raw material, so basically the valley for the most part. So Portland area has most of that, tube, pipe, sheet steel, that kind of thing. But local stuff, we use local fiberglass shops. We use local par lumber for our pallets. We use the local Norco for weld supplies. So we shop as many things we can do locally. We do. We absolutely have plans to expand. We're going to get deeper into the CNC machining realm, and that's going to open up a whole bunch of possibilities for us. They're outside of all of the vehicular stuff. We can start building parts for people and airplanes and lots of other things. So I think that's going to be a huge growth spot for us, and that I hope to have that up and running in the next 4 months.
Hi, I'm Greg Miller. I'm the owner and pilot of I'll Fly Away Hot Air Balloon Adventures, located in Prineville, Oregon. And we offer all kinds of services that involve hot air balloons. We've been in business for 25 years. We were in the Salem, Oregon area for a while, and then we were in Boise, and then 8 years ago we located to Prineville, and that's where we're at now. For one, it's the clean air, the high elevation, the beautiful areas to fly in, and it's just a great spot to be in, a small little town to be in. When we lived in the Salem area, because it rained so much, we weren't able to fly very much, and so flying is important to be able to keep going. And my work at the time I was working took me to Boise, and It was very similar to here in Prineville, as far as being a high elevation, clean air, and we flew over there for a number of years. And when we started thinking about moving back to Oregon, we looked specifically for somewhere like that, and found Central Oregon to be where we wanted to go, and especially Prineville, because it is a small town, much like what we left when we left the Salem area. What drew me to the field of ballooning is in 1990, I was a freelance photographer, and I was going to school, and we needed some stock photos, and there was a balloon event in Salem, Oregon, and I went to that, and because I was media, they asked me if I wanted to fly, and I did, and I came back, and my brother and I took pictures, and we actually went to the lab and developed everything and brought it back to the field the next day, and we sold everything that we took. And I thought, why are you wanting pictures of your own balloon? But I understand now, because when you're flying, you can't get it, and they invited us back, and it's been a family affair, business ever since. The kind of training you need for a balloon pilot is first you get a student license, which is pretty much just you go in and apply and get a certificate that says that you're allowed to fly with somebody. And then you have to have a private license, and that requires several hours of flight in the basket with a certified flight instructor, and then a written test, knowledge test, and then you fly with a designated examiner from the FAA, and he gives you an oral test and a written and a flight proficiency test. If you pass that, you become a private pilot, and then that gives you the license to learn, basically, and then you go get your commercial so you can take flights and do advertising and stuff. The number of years it took for the whole process was I started the process in '95 as a student, and then in 1996 I got my private license. In 1997 I got my commercial license, and that basically was because where I lived, the flying was very limited, and we could only fly in just a couple months out of the year. Where that's one of the reasons I like being in the Prineville area, is that I can fly pretty much year round in the Prineville area. If I'm flying in a certain area, I call and let them know, and then if an airplane is coming into an airport and they are getting briefing for what runway would be the best, the tower will tell them, be advised that there's a hot air balloon that's 5 nautical miles of Redmond, and that be aware there's one in the sky. So that's the first entity we have to do, is comply with all the FAA regulations. And then as a pilot, I have to have my skills reviewed every 2 years by a certified flight instructor to make sure that I'm still complacent in being able to fly. And then as my equipment also has to be checked every year and signed off by an inspection station, so that to make sure the equipment is safe. So there's several federal regulations that dominate it, but it's very important that we do it, because we can't fly if the balloon's not current or the pilot's not current. So it's controlled by the FAA, and then we belong to other smaller groups that are local clubs and national clubs as well, that are part of that for our continuing education. It requires 5 crew people plus myself to fly my balloons. I can do it with 3, and I have different size balloons, but I can do it as low as 3, but I need a minimum of 5 to cover all spots. And they're all volunteers. When we put on events or go to events, sometimes we have 1 or 2 part-time employees that are paid, and then everybody else are volunteers. But without the volunteers, we could never do it. Well, my customer base is kind of interesting because I came from the Salem area, went to Boise, and now I'm in the Central Oregon area. My customer base kind of is from all over, but I have a lot that come through that are tourism that come through and choose to fly with us in Central Oregon. But we fly in Idaho, Washington, Oregon, Northern California, Wyoming, and New Mexico. And so we have a customer base in each of those areas, and when we're going to be in those areas, then they know about it and they can get a hold of me and we can plan accordingly. We have a lot of main events that we participate in. We have one that's been going they've all been going for a number of years, but the one in Boise, Idaho has been going for about 35 years. That's one of our favorite events. It's over Labor Day weekend. And then we go to Walla Walla in October. We go to Albuquerque the first 10 days of October. We do events in Portland and Albany and Prosser, Washington and Northern California. Has COVID affected our business? Yes, it has, very much. It's restricted us in the number of people we can have. But it takes 5 plus myself, and if you have 2 passengers, so that's 8. And it affects us on how we get to the landing site after we take off. The crew have to follow in a van or 2 vans so they can be separated as much as possible. They have to wear masks. The passengers have to wear masks. The listings, people are afraid to come out. I've had a lot of cancellations. Virtually, we attend 15 major events a year, and they were all canceled but one. And so all of our events have been canceled, which is a large part of what we do, is going to events. And COVID's affected us as well as getting crew and keeping them safe and that they feel comfortable. It's had a very profound impact on us, that we saw our events drop from virtually every weekend starting in March until the end of October, drop down to maybe once a month we'd have a flight. As far as events out of town, we've pretty much had everything canceled that was out of town except for one that we went to in Riverton, Wyoming. But other than that, all of our events have pretty much been canceled because of COVID. So what we've done is try to make ourselves more available to the local market. And we've been fortunate to average here in October and September, we've been averaging 1 flight a week, which has all been local people coming to the Prineville area, or they live in the Prineville area and they're coming to see us here rather than traveling to a major event. My favorite part about owning a small business, I've been doing this for 25 years and I have in excess of 1,000 flights, and my favorite part is seeing the expression on the people's face when they see the balloon inflating, and then when they're flying, and then what their expression is when we're landing, and the scenery below us, and how excited they are, and how they are just very excited. I get very happy when I see how it makes people's day, and then have the people on the ground waving at us, and how it makes their day when they see us, and having pictures show up, you know, on Facebook that we saw you, and I know they come from all over the place, and that's probably my favorite part, is to see how it makes other people happy when they see us fly. My biggest hurdle in owning a business of that type is that it is seasonal. It's kind of directional. I mean, not everybody can come. I don't have an office that you can just come to and knock on the door and let's go for a flight, or they can't schedule it at 7 o'clock in the morning or 12 noon or whatever. It has to be at sunrise. It has to be pre-planned. It has to be with weather conditions being right. And so it's all pretty much, you know, they find us in the advertising, in the local papers, on social media, from the chamber directories, and the 3 that I belong to. They find us in, you know, referrals, business cards, different things. But the people have to find us and come to us. So it's been a real hurdle not to be able to have just a place where you can walk into. But because our business is such that we could never operate out of an office, we'd have to operate our field where we launch from would have to be our office. So that makes it a little challenging. But when this COVID has affected us a lot, but normally we're busy and we fly a lot, and we're pretty much known all through, especially in the Prineville area, but throughout Central Oregon, we're pretty much known that they'll see us and say, hey, I saw you up, because it's pretty hard to miss us. Just recently in February, I had two balloons. I had a small one that I bought in '95 that I trained on. Then I bought my other balloon in 2007. I've been flying it mostly for flights, and I could handle 2 or 3 passengers. Well, in February, I bought 2 new balloons. One of them is a very large balloon with an extra large basket that we're going to use strictly for doing tethers and corporate events. And it is a balloon that's a workhorse, basically. And then I bought a beautiful white balloon that's I can take 4 to 5 people in it, and it's a much larger balloon. It allows me to take groups of 5 to 6 as long as the weight and limitations are met. And so I just got those. I've got literally bought them 2 weeks before all the COVID started. So I have only stood up the one time in the park to get a picture. And then the white one, the big beautiful white one, we've flown it about 6 times is all, because of the weather and COVID and stuff. But it's 2 additions to our fleet. We're getting new logos made to put on new jackets and hats, and we'll have 4 systems that we'll have a choice to choose how we want to fly. How do people book a flight with me? It's pretty easy, really. If you go to a Google search and just type in hot air balloons in Central Oregon, I pop up, and you can go to our webpage, which is illflyaway.net, and you can actually book a flight right from there. Pick a date, look at our calendar, see what works for you, pick a date, and do either a deposit or pay for the full ride for however many passengers. And then once I get that information, when it's sent to me, then I call them and confirm that that date is a good date with my calendar, and then we set up a time. And typically the passenger, depends on where I'm going to be at. If I know I'm going to be in a certain area, I'll let people know I'm going to be in that area and they book it. But typically they'll book, and then we come into Central Oregon and we fly into Prineville, Culver, Madras, sometimes in Redmond, and once in a while in the Bend area. But people will find us by just doing a simple Google search, or I think that's in the phone book under hot air balloon flies. I know you can call the chamber and they can tell you. It's in the roundup a lot at the local little advertising newspaper. So we have it out there in lots of places, but typically it's a Google search will do it. People say, well, I couldn't do that because I'm afraid of heights. And I've had people that are really afraid of heights, but and I talk to them, and the thing to remember is that number one, it's not like an airplane where you have inertia that throws you back, but rather you guide with the wind. And we are what's called fair weather pilots. We won't fly if the weather is too fast, and we have nice gentle flights, and you just go with the wind. And for those that say that they're afraid of heights, if you look out on the horizon, not over the side, by the end of the flight, most of the time those people have got their hands relaxed and are really enjoying themselves and have a really good time. We offer a family service. We try to do couples or a family of 4. We don't ever, very seldom do we ever mix 2 groups together. We always try to make it a personalized type of event, that it's a family event, so that we've had a lot of proposals. We've had a lot of birthday wishes and stuff, even a couple of people that dropped ashes. But it's a family affair, and unlike the larger balloons in the Portland area where they put whoever comes and gets into it, that won't happen in our balloons. We strictly try to keep it just like mom and dad and 2 small kids, or husband and wife, or maybe a mom and dad and one of their kids, whatever. But we try very hard to be a family-oriented business.